Good morning, everyone. We have a good crowd today. I am really heartened to see that we have so many people who are volunteering for the cleanup committee. And aren't we excited about that? No, no, no. So, we are all here for the same reason. We're all here to talk about food. What my role is going to be for this period of time is a couple of things. I'm going to front load with a little bit of information. And I am also going to make sure that everything we talk about today, within an hour, we have 60 minutes scheduled for this, is productive and constructive. All of us, when it comes to things that we're passionate about, all of us can veer off course at times. My role today is going to make sure that all of the conversations from the crowd and us is productive and constructive related to food. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay. I know you all will be, but it's just a reminder. So, why are we here? I wanted to call this meeting for two specific reasons, I'll say. One, we don't have a town hall meeting this month, right? Usually we would have one today. But we don't have anything until coffee and conversation. So this fills a gap. Two, as you all know at this point, or most of you know, we had a departure on the dining staff 2 weeks ago, Jessica Chadwick. So that was something that, although it is HR related, and there's very limited information that we're able to share, I want to make sure that we can communicate as clearly as we are able to about Jess's departure and about what we have in the meantime in terms of interim staff and what we're planning for in the future. So given that scenario, given the fact we didn't have a town hall meeting, and given the fact that there have been a couple of rumblings that I have heard, that Deb has heard, that Tom has heard, we wanted to gather everyone together, share the updates that we could, and then have a productive conversation on questions, concerns related to dining. That is the rationale for calling this meeting. And thank you all for attending. So, here's what I am going to share related to Jessica Chadwick's no longer working here at Frederick Living. Again, HR-related situation, limited amount that I can share. What I can say is, I am aware, we are aware, that Jess had good relationships with many individuals here on campus. There's no doubt about that, and there's no denying that, and we fully understand that circumstance. What I will share is that although that is the truth, there are some scenarios and some situations and some issues that we as a leadership team and Sodexo as a leadership team was working through for an extended period of time with this particular individual, and unfortunately we had to part ways. Much of that time predated Debbie Dill, and it's unfortunate that that's the way that it ended. That was not something that we had hoped for or wanted, but ultimately, it was the right decision for us to make as a community, and I will stand firm on that. What we have in the meantime, we have a couple of individuals who are, is RASI the term? I always get it wrong. Regional support staff who are filling in. So when we have Sodexo employees that are gaps, when we have individuals who are no longer working in management positions here at the community as far as dining is concerned, since we work with Sodexo, which is a larger organization, they have individuals who work all around the country who are able to fill in temporary gaps like we have now. So we have temporary support in filling the position that was vacated by Jessica. And we also have, if some of you are aware, Sean, our chef manager, he has taken a different position. He gave us notice, and we are filling in his slots as well. We are looking to fill those two positions long-term with new individuals. So that would be our head chef and our chef manager. In addition, we have a role that was recently filled. So we have an area general manager. If you recall Christy Turner, she was here at a couple of meetings. Christy worked at Garden Spot for a long time, and she oversaw operations for both Frederick Living and Garden Spot Village. Christy left the organization back in the winter, and we have filled that role with a new individual who is going to start in late August. So hopefully, I would guess the September town hall or coffee and conversations, I hope we're able to introduce the new individual who is coming to us as the area general manager. So the area general manager will report directly to Tom, and he will help oversee operations with Debbie. So those are some of the personnel updates that I wanted to front load and share. Tom or Debbie, is there anything else regarding those items that I forgot or that I should share from your vantage point? Good. So the two support people that are here now that Tom mentioned, they're individuals that he, Tom, has worked closely with before, that he trusts and that he relies upon. And one of them, Gene, has also worked at Frederick Living in the past, so he is familiar with the community. Thanks for that. So, in my notes, that is all I wanted to front load this conversation with. Structure of the meeting, personnel updates, and then we wanted to, as we are now, open things up for questions, for concerns that are going to be productive and constructive. So let's do it.
You didn't mention Solvay. Is she temporary?
Solve it. Solvay is permanent. Solvay is the bistro. Can everyone hear this in the same way? Sounds different to my ears, sorry. Solvay is here, she's full-time, and she's sticking around. She is the bistro manager, that is her role. This one's better. So I'm just going to walk around with this one, and I'll just get some exercise today, that's all. So Solvay is the bistro manager. She has worked with us for a couple of months now. We're very happy with her and her role, and she is full-time, and she is sticking around.
I've asked this question before. As meals are served over a period of time, do you keep track of how much you actually get used? And then what do you do with that if after a month you have a couple meals that you're really not selling, people aren't buying it? And then there are others that, of course, are very popular. Do you keep track on both of those so you know exactly what's going out there?
We're going to find a different mic. Hold on.
We do. We have pre-production of what we produced, and we do post-production of what was not used. So we keep track of that, and we do look at how much is left over from that, and we look for the next time we adjust it. But if it becomes really unpopular, we make note of it for when we redo our menus. We redo our menus both in the spring, summer, and the fall, winter. Right now, we're looking at our fall, winter menus, and I'm taking in consideration from all the surveys that everyone turned in. We do have the suggestion box, too. If you have a certain recipe or something that you want to see more on the menu, you can put a suggestion in that suggestion box. And we're making note of all the the ones that were not very popular on our 5-week cycle menu that we have. And we will be replacing them with things that were suggested from the survey, from our Frederick Living Food Committee, and from the suggestion box, and through Happy or Nots as well. Oh, you got one.
Since I don't hear what you just said, I might be repeating myself, but I don't know. So I'll ask my question. When you hire someone for the dining program, are they made aware at the very head of the time that you hire them what are fireable conditions? Do they know ahead of time what will make them vulnerable to being fired? And if indeed you're getting ready, this is a two-part question. If you're getting ready to say so long, do they get a second chance? Do they get a warning and then a second chance to write whatever is going to make them leave?
So without getting too specific, this sounds it feels a little specific. I'm gonna talk generally with regard to Frederick Living, HR, and how we go about things, and I'll pass things off to Tom for how they generally go about things. So from our perspective, we have pretty thorough orientation when you come to the community and you understand what your role is, what your expectations are, and before you hit the floor, let's say, as a nurse, as an aide, in dining, we have expectations that we share with you of what your role is and how things should go. And we make sure that you, as a team member, understand what you're doing, and it's management's role, whoever your supervisor is, to make sure that you're held to account. If we have scenarios where any team member has an issue understanding their role or has an issue as far as attendance or behavior, what we do in that scenario is we typically have progressive discipline. We'll have a conversation to make sure that understanding is clear, and if that behavior continues, we can't just let that slide. We have to make sure that there are consequences to continued behavior in a wrong direction. And if we have to get to a point where we terminate an individual from working here, then there's usually a very long trail to get there, unless there is some behavior that is just wildly out of place, right, that you can't tolerate. If someone walks in here and starts screaming at residents or something of the sort, then we would accelerate the process.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. So similar to what Mike said, Sodexo has the same processes. We have an employee handbook that everybody gets, that they're aware of. When there are issues, we don't go right to termination. It's a very long process. We start with just a coaching session. If necessary, we put in a performance improvement plan, and then Debbie would meet with that person on a weekly basis to go over the improvement plan, where they're doing well, where they're not, what they need to improve on. If things still don't get better through that, we do go through the progressive disciplinary process, and it goes through several levels. So it goes from Debbie to me to my vice president that I report to. On the HR side, it goes through HR representative, then it goes to her supervisor, then it goes to their vice president before any of these decisions can be finalized with it. So it is, and it's a long process. It's not just like, okay, you burn the chicken, you're out, okay? That's not how it works, all right? We also have a promise of respect and fair treatment in the company, so that if the person feels that it's unjust or it's not warranted, they can basically go over our heads and go through that process of appealing and pleading their case on what they feel was unjust. So that's a lot of opportunity. We don't want anyone to lose their job, and we want everyone to be successful. And we do our best to train, retrain, put plans together to make them successful. And unfortunately, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And that's, we went through all of our processes with this. So I don't want you thinking like one little thing happened and that was it. We have worked for quite a long time, well over a year, to try and help this be successful.
Good morning. Having been a chef in another life, I'm wondering about training and how you help the folks in the kitchen, in the back kitchen specifically, who seem stressed. How do you help them with the training of how to do what their job is? Now, you go to school for 4 years to the Culinary Institute, and you do it for like 6 months at a time. Do we have a plan? Is there a process that they go through that, like, they're in, you take them out of high school, and what do you do next? Put them in an apron and give them a head of celery and say, chop it? Or do you explain in how to do it so they don't cut themselves? I think the stress is what I'm seeing. There's a lot of underlying waters flowing through the back kitchen, I think.
So what we have a program called Culinary Foundations Training. There's, I think it's about 15 modules to that training, and it's everything from how to handle a knife through braising foods, sautéing foods, baking. It goes through all the different processes that we use in the kitchen. So we do monthly trainings, and then as they pass the different courses, there's certificates that are given out for that as well. And it's just a continual, like, we don't stop when we're at the end because you've got turnover, you need refresher training. You can't just train somebody once and think it's going to stick. So we do repeat that on an annual basis. It's part of our training. And then we also have safety training as well, like you're mentioning cutting. We require cut gloves, cut-resistant gloves, so people don't get hurt. We require non-slip shoes, so people don't slip on the floor. Kitchen floors are always wet, or something's dropped, or a piece of zucchini falls on the floor. If you hit that with your shoe, you're flying. So we do have different requirements for that as well, but there's always an ongoing training process. We have informal mentoring as well. The chefs that we have here, Gene, and the other gentleman's name is Sergio, they're well-versed chefs, but they're also trainers. So they'll be assisting with that as well. We're going to kind of revamp the Culinary Foundations training and get a little more in-depth with it all with everybody. Because I see the Happy or Nots. I check them every morning for all the communities that I have it in. And like last week, I think it was last week or maybe early this week, the pork chops were dry. The pork chops were too small. There was a lot of comments on that. So I see all of that. If I see a trend or something that there's like 5 complaints on one thing, Debbie gets an email. I say, hey, what happened here? So all of that kind of helps us to serve you better. And then we also take that information back to, if it's a service issue, to the servers. If it's a food production issue, to the production people. If we're getting compliments, we go back to the employee. Like if you're mentioning employees by name, of who, so-and-so gave us really great service tonight, or this person cooked my burger just right. We go back to them again and let them know, hey, listen, you got a shout out on Happy or Not. So it kind of reinforces the good, and we can bring the issues up the very next day. Those reports come out, I get them by like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, that they come up. So that's kind of the first thing I do every morning. I go through and just look and see how we're doing everywhere. But yeah, the training is there, and it's constant.
I have a question. This week in particular, normally when I see on the menu you're having chili, I make a beeline to the bistro. And I came up this week and I really got upset. First of all, the chili was lousy. And normally it's really good. So it was dry, there was no taste, no flavor. And then they had broccoli florets with it, and they were like a rock. I didn't even eat my dinner, okay? I took it, tray back, empty. But anyway, one of my partners that sits next to me, she's like 96 years old. I really got upset because she had a plate full of broccoli and chili with mashed potatoes, and she sent the whole dish of chili back. She tried to cut the broccoli. It was like a rock. We got her a steak knife. That didn't cut it. So she sent her dinner back. I mean, I can live with it. I can go home and eat a cupcake or a donut, but I don't know what she's got in her cabinet, you know what I'm saying? So, but it really hurt me that I saw her dinner go back. Mine went back as well. And then last night they had lima beans, and they were like a rock. So it's just, it seems like the fresh vegetables, maybe, I don't know, the broccoli, the lima, if they're not being cooked thoroughly. And the chili, go back to your old recipe because that really, it was so dry and no taste, no flavor. I must have used 3/4 of the salt. So,
Well, first off, thank you for letting us know that, okay? What I would say is if you are not satisfied with your meal, let us know while you're there. It's just like if you would go out to a restaurant and you are dissatisfied with your meal, you're not just going to say, well, I'll go eat at home. All right, we're here to serve you. This is your home. We want to make you happy. All right, so if there's a problem, let Debbie know, let Salve know, get a manager involved. They're out there, you know, canvassing the areas, making sure that everything's getting done right. Things do slip by. So I apologize that you had a bad meal, but don't walk away saying, this was terrible, I'm just going home to eat a donut. We don't want to hear that. Okay. Okay, that helps us, thank you. But we don't want you to go away dissatisfied. So if we need to do something else for that meal, you don't want the chili, if you want a burger or something instead, we'll just void one thing out and put the other thing in for you so you're not getting charged for something that you're not happy with.
I have a question regarding most diners and that, you see U.S. Foods truck come in, and I think we use, or you use, is it Cisco?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that common for all Sodexo in the area?
That's common for all Sodexo.
Okay. The food that comes in, you order, I assume 95% of the supplies are on that truck, roughly. Okay. When the food comes in, you have chicken on there, you have ribs, and you have meat. What we receive, is it the same quality, or this, I shouldn't say quality, but the same food as all the other Sodexo communities? Or is there a different level of food that comes in?
That question about levels, I've been with the company 30 years. I've heard that question for 30 years. We don't have levels.
At one time, someone told us in here, it doesn't matter, there were kind of implied, or the implication, there was a different food level.
No, there is
Okay.
not.
So you're clarifying that whatever we get chicken-wise, Peter Becker or whoever, Doc's gets, it's the same chicken.
Yeah.
So the difference is in the preparation of the food, if there's a difference in
Right, if there's a difference. So the way that
in quality. That
yeah, the way we work as a company, we work with Cisco, but we also work with the manufacturers. So there is a certain type of chicken breast that is spec'd for us for all of seniors. So when we're ordering through Cisco, everyone's getting that same brand, that same type. It may be a different size. Some places may want a bigger chicken breast, some places may want a smaller chicken breast, but it's the same products through the same manufacturers. And that just helps us to save money by, if we say we're gonna order 10,000 pounds of chicken in a year, then we get price deduction based on that volume.
My complaint is not with the help. I think the help is great. I think they're doing a good job. My complaint is with the quality of the food. I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
My complaint is not with the help. I think the help's doing a great job. Never a problem. My problem is with the food, the quality of the food, the selection of the food, the temperature of the food. The other day, I was there and they ran out of what I wanted. So they brought a new thing in from the back and they put it in the steam table and it was cold. You can't bring something cold from the kitchen and put it in the steam table. and hope the steam table is going to warm it up. This stuff has to come in from the kitchen hot.
No, you're absolutely right, and why it was brought from the kitchen was cold is something we'd have to investigate. So basically, we batch cook in the kitchen. We have hot holding boxes back there that we keep at around 160 degrees so the food stays hot. I'm not sure what the product was, but if you can talk to me after the meeting and give me some more specifics on that, I would appreciate it, just so that we can look into that a little bit further. We have all systems in place and we monitor the temperatures, and there's really no reason that anything should come out of that kitchen and be placed in the steam table cold. A steam table is not a cooking device, it's a holding device. So I apologize for that, but I would like more information on that if you don't mind after the meeting.
Th- th-
I jumped the gun.
This is twofold. The little papers that you have on the table to replace Happy or Not, they don't work. The scanners that you're supposed to scan the code, the QR code. The ones on the tables, I can't get to work. Maybe it's just me. Second of all, who is in charge of the consistency of the food? Because we should not be serving burnt food, ever, at Frederick.
So we'll have to look at the Happy or Not. So I don't know if everyone knows what she's talking about, but on the tables, there's like a QR code that if you open up the camera on your phone and you scan it, you can do the Happy or Nots that way too, so you don't have to walk up to the kiosks. So we'll have to check them and see. Maybe the link got funky or something like that.
I did hear that, and Solvi went and used her phone, and she said it worked. So I don't know if maybe didn't have it all the way up, or if it's the QR code that you had at your table. But we'll check them all. But they do work. We did double check that.
And then as far as the food consistency part, that rests on the chef. I mean, Debbie checks it as well, but that rests on the chef to make sure that our recipe books are complete, that the staff is following the recipes. Your food, every time you get the chicken marsala, it should be the same. There should be a consistency there, and that's all in our systems. And I get what you're saying, that's not what you're seeing. And that's, again, part of our culinary foundations training and all that we're going to kind of revamp, because I'm seeing that also when I look through the Happy or Nots, that a product is good one time, this wasn't the same, go back to your old recipe. I have seen those comments also in the past week. So that's another thing that we're going to be addressing as we make the different changes in the back. Oh, and Debbie did also implement taste panels to be done every hour. So they should be going out and checking the food, and there's kind of a scorecard for that as well. So a manager is assigned that each night. But now from the comment that you just made about cold food coming out, we're going to have to go back and look at that as well.
Tom, I'm sure you, aware of the problems we've had in Magnolia. I look around here and I only see one person from Magnolia that eats there, and I think that's part of the problem. But every time I complain and have a complaint to somebody, I hear, well, you don't know what other places are like. This, this is so much better. Well, that doesn't really address the problem. I know that there's not many people up there that speak up, and I thought since the first that that's why. But I do know what other places are like, and I find that a very irritating response. My husband was on the board of one of these in California, and I'm still in touch with all the people, a lot of them there. And we talk about the dining situation all the time. And, I felt that when I was eating in the bistro, I had no complaints. But Magnolia is a sad situation. We had riblets the other night that were not edible. I don't know what they were. They were some processed meat, and they didn't have bones. And they tell us, well, they're afraid to give us bones or skewers, or that's ridiculous. And we've had them up there with bones that were so big. Our conversation was, what kind of a hog did they get these off of? I mean, they were unreal. But there are people up there that are aware of what they're eating, and I think that their issues should be addressed. I feel it's a unit that's pretty much ignored.
Hello, Carol and everybody. Yes. Angie did come down last night and inform me that she had discussions, I don't know if it was with you, with several of the residents in Magnolia. And I did send an email to Sergio and Jean, who are doing the ordering, the next time that they put the regular ribs with the bone on for you, okay? And that I could show you the email because I hear you. And Angie heard you and brought it down and let me know, and we made the decision that we're going to change that, okay? So you are heard, okay?
Good morning. Michael, thank you for having the meeting. I think it is an important one. Many of you know that my wife and I have been residents for coming up on 11 years at Frederick. I love Frederick Living. I have never questioned our decision to come to Frederick. One of the things that sold us on Frederick was food service. I mean, I've lived in the general area for a long time, but I didn't know much about Frederick, and we started traveling. And Ruth said to me, I am not going to go to a community that I haven't eaten at least 2 good meals at. Well, we had several meals at Frederick, and they were all good. And for a long time, I think that the meal program and the culinary program at Frederick Living was one of the very strongest selling points of our community. And I'm concerned. As a member or as an officer of FELRA, I get a lot of complaints and comments. I get mostly complaints, very few attaboys, but you get a lot of complaints and you get used to that. And I think the most important thing, I hear individual problems and addresses to those problems, but why are we having this meeting? We're having the meeting because the community or the residents are unhappy and concerned. I'm not a culinary person. Tom, I think you did a fantastic job when you ran the program here, and I have no fixes. I simply ask that the management team, both Frederick and Sodexo, look at it and accept the fact that we have a problem. And how are we going to fix that problem? I don't think it's going to be fixed easily or quickly, but I think we need to work toward that solution. I personally don't think that Frederick has a particularly effective marketing program. We don't seem to have trouble filling our spots, but we depend on people-to-people marketing. And I have recommended Frederick to many friends, and I want to continue to do that. And I hope that we all recognize that. And if Sodexo has something they would like from us or comments, ask us. Whether it's through management, through FELRA, whatever. But we have a vested interest, both of us, all of us, in making the program better. I mean, one of the things I've talked to people, everybody recognizes that money and inflation is a killer. And we're fighting, I can't imagine what you go through in your negotiations with food, with higher prices and the need to hold, the quality that we want here. But I think that's something that's a two-way street, which is most important. My goal, I would love to see the Frederick today that was the same Frederick that I bought into and hopefully will die when at that same level. That's what we all want. We want to be a part of the community that we bought into and invested our money into. Little things that I think would help. The fireside is an excellent example. Tonight, are we having a Friday night dinner or not, Debbie? Okay. Last Friday, we didn't have one, but nobody knew it. Well, nobody signed up for it. That means we didn't have, so the dining room was open. The question is, we are short of seating at times. It would be nice to have a little note out there, a schedule of days in the next week that the fireside meeting is going to be reserved. And we all like the concept of being able to reserve that for a special purpose, whether it be a funeral or an anniversary or whatnot. But it would be good so that if you have one or two guests coming in, you know you don't have that availability, and maybe you better get there a little bit earlier on that evening. Little things like that, I think we can make the program better. I have to finish with a compliment. I do not know how Frederick maintains the quality of your young servers. They have been consistently, for the last 11 years, friendly, good, cheerful, hardworking people. Keep up that good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Without getting into too many specifics, because you offered some specifics at the end, but you were more, philosophically driven in your comments from what I heard. And I hope that our rationale for having a meeting such as this is to acknowledge that there are more than the regular scuttlebutt concerns and complaints, that we want to hear them directly and we want to hear them clearly, and we want you to know that it is not falling on deaf ears. It is something that we want to acknowledge and take action. I also want to support something that you shared, that this is not, that most things that are worthwhile are not short-term fixes. There are tweaks that can be made, but longer term, what we want to do is ensure that there is sustained success, and that is our goal and our aim. Also, quick reminder: it is 11:08, so we got 22 minutes left.
Following up on what was just said, I think we all want to build bridges. We have enough walls around every place anymore. My question to you is, the same concerns that are being voiced here, do you hear them in the other facilities and communities you go to?
So food is one of the most subjective things in the world, because no one makes it like Mom, no one makes it the way I made it, and all of that. So yeah, there are a lot of commonalities. Food temperatures are always a concern at one time or another. Not consistently, but yeah, it comes up. Nobody's perfect, so occasionally the cooks make a mistake, quality's not there. So there are a lot of commonalities with that. And just to go back, Mr. Guyman, as far as the help that you all can give us is with the Happy or Not. So there was a day this week that our satisfaction was very low. It was around 46%, okay, and that's awful. When I opened up the comments, there weren't any. There was one comment from someone that hit a gray face, not even a red face. So if you hit a red face, we would appreciate if you put a comment in. When you hit a red face for food quality, we could have served 30 things that night in the bistro, and we don't know which product that y'all are talking about. So if you could just, even if you put beef or something, just to give us a signifier as to what the issue was. If we don't get any comments in there, we really can't guide our team to fix that. Well, I heard all about the frozen corn. I heard all about the frozen corn. I read all of the comments. I actually called Sergio, who was filling in as the chef. It was the first order that he did. And I'm like, we do not serve frozen corn at Frederick. It is to be fresh from now on. And what happened with that was he ordered in the frozen because he was afraid that the produce company that we get the fresh corn from would not deliver in time for that night's meal. So that's the full explanation on that debacle. But I was well aware as soon as I read the comments on the happy or not, I was like, oh man, he bought frozen.
My name's Jim Shelley, and Judy and I, whoops, am I cutting someone else?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Judy and I just came here last October, and we've lived in the area for the last 50 years, and we are very happy here. We're happy with the staff, the philosophy of the staff. We're happy with the kind of caring that we see here, and in the food service, I think there are times when I wasn't happy, but most of the time I've been very, very pleased with the food. And the wonderful people that serve. I mean, you talk about the young people. I'm really impressed with how pleasant the people are. When you have the special things, sometimes Jude and I can't make it over, and I have to carry stuff back. But I've been very, very glad and happy we came here, because I know in the hearts of the people serving the food, they're really trying their best. And I kind of got to congratulate you for doing as well as you can with the situation you have. It's a rough situation, and you're not going to have everybody be happy. And I'm glad you have a meeting like this when people can honestly share what's going on. But from our perspective, we're very happy here, and we think Mike's doing a good job. And Judy told me to wrap it up. I know from experience it's nice knowing when you're appreciated, and we appreciate that we're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The team is very dedicated, and they do care. They do their best every day.
Tom, can you tell us how many Sodexo employees there are? Not Frederick, but just Sodexo at Frederick.
So there's Deb, there's Salvi, there's Angie, the 2 chef positions, and we have a dietitian. So 6 total. Total.
Their jobs are, what's in our language?
To make you happy. That's their job, to make you happy.
No.
So Deb's in charge of the whole department. Okay, Angie works mainly in Cedarwood, Magnolia area. Salve is for the bistro area. The executive chef position oversees the whole kitchen, ordering things like that. The chef manager position assists the executive chef, but also works in production making the food. They cook pretty much every day. And then the dietitian is for Cedarwood, and she does do consults and things like that as well. And Debbie's also a dietitian, so that helps us out too. Sure.
Okay, I'm going to make
Hold on, Tom. I'm sorry, she's had her hand up for like the whole time.
Now you're skipping the line.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Go ahead.
Thanks. My question for the gluten-free problem and lactose. I wanted to order a small gluten-free pizza the other day, and, oh, we don't carry them anymore. I wanted to make a sandwich with your bread, and you don't carry that anymore. So I'm in a problem of bringing my sandwich, getting a cup of the soup here, and maybe some other little things that I can eat. And the menus are the same over and over and over. They used to say every 4 weeks they change. No, it's every 2 weeks it's the same. Mashed potatoes. Why are they lumpy some nights, but then some nights they're deliciously creamy? Carrots. They're soft some nights, but then they're hard as a rock another night. Cabbage. When I made cabbage, it was, you had to cut it sometimes with a knife. Now, it's so limp, and it almost looks like cold bacon. Where are the meat? Why are the meats all dried out? The beef, the chicken, the pork. I have to get a steak knife almost every night to cut the meat. And what happened to the breakfast at dinner? The last time we had that, it was a sellout. There was line, big line. People enjoyed it. It's something different. We used to have that a lot when Sean was here. I miss Sean. What happened going down to the fireside sit-down dining for anybody who wants to go in, not make a reservation unless it's a big party, maybe of 6 or so. But some people need that. Just the other night, this little lady was walking again at the bistro line. Down goes the tray. It's not a good setup. I watch it a lot, and I feel I have to get up and take that tray. You know, we miss it. We miss that sit-down dining. And I know we have 2 girls here, and a boy was training, I guess, for waiter. And I said to him, "You're doing a good job," because I could see it, because I've been a waitress and a hostess. And I can just see that you need some training, and it's not hard. It's not hard to do. They have enough people. You have 2 good waitresses, easily can take care of that. You know, I just wish we'd be bringing that back.
So,
But we love it here. I want to tell you, we love it here. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Thank you for that last piece. In order to facilitate time-wise, and in order to, there's a couple of hands raised that we still need to get to, and given the fact that there were a good amount of issues raised in that, it's going to be hard to address each of them individually. I will say certainly from a gluten-free perspective as well as a dairy-free perspective, those are specifics that we can hone in on. What I heard was general quality, general consistency concerns, and you know, we can continue to talk about that, and we can talk about some specifics on menu items even after if you would like. But I just want to be respectful of other residents who also want to share questions and concerns. I lost my way. Lou.
I try to make suggestions, and I'm not afraid to talk to Deb. And 2 weeks ago, we had the tenderloin, and it was absolutely delicious. But some people like to have it medium well. I like it medium rare, which means you should cut out of the middle or cook 2 different sets of loins so you have them there for people to want. Because taking them and putting them on the grill, all you do is tighten that meat up, okay? We were at Garden Spot on Wednesday. First time I ever went through their line. When we went down there to visit, okay, they had us have salad, and then we put shrimp, chicken and tenderloin. The tenderloin I couldn't even eat. Wednesday, it was the same thing. Their tenderloin didn't look like ours. It was more oval than round. And the people who were trying to eat it, one person actually picked it up with her hands and couldn't chew it. Okay? So, and also it's more expensive. Everything is a la carte after you get your meal. So you pick up your, we got balls of ham, but everything else I added to that was extra. And they had no place to just go put your soda. I can get my Coke here. They don't do it that way. They have containers, which I had this big container. I couldn't even eat it all. Okay, so I'm happy you're here. Are there warts? Yes. And it's all about what people have said. It's consistency. So when you cook the loins, if the whole thing is overcooked, it's dry. Okay, so that's somehow we have to try to get better at that. But I was much better pleased here. My meal there was $23.95. That same meal here is $17.50. And a lot of it had to do, they don't have a fountain down there. You have to buy your sodas separate. I hope we don't change that.
So what I can say to that is each community has its own personality, and it's not like a blanket that we throw over. We're here for you, so we customize to you. So there's no plans to get rid of the fountain, and we're not Mini Garden Spot. We're Frederick Living, and we will stay Frederick Living. This is your home, and we will adapt to what you want, not this is what we do. It's for you. So did you have a question? Okay. I'll get to you next. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. How many, for instance, tonight in the bistro, how many Sodexo personnel are in the kitchen, actually chefs, making the food?
So tonight, Gene is here, the support manager, because Sean is off. Is Sean on vacation today or just off?
So there's people doing the food preparation or making the food other than Sodexo personnel?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we have hourly cooks that work there,
Okay.
frontline staff that cook, but the chef is always back there, and their job is to assist and supervise, and they should be also checking the quality.
Okay, and the follow-up on that is, I assume you have recipes for the ingredients in the food to have consistency.
Yes. Yeah, we
Okay,
have a
how-
full production system with recipes.
Okay, how does one in the kitchen monitor that consistency? So the chicken one week is the same as the chicken the next week? How is that part done to make sure the recipe is consistent?
So again, that would be the chef's duties to make sure that the food's coming out the way that it's supposed to. We also do a daily production meeting just to review the recipes, see where we are with production, and the chefs should be checking the food before it goes out.
That kind of follows up to what I was going to say, because I think many of us like the food of Frederick, but one time we come in and the meatballs were burnt all over the bottom. Not just mine or the person next to me, it was all the way across. My concern is, I don't know how or who should be doing that. We came in one night, all the pineapple stuffing was burnt all over the top. Why is that put out? If you have someone who's doing consistency, why would you put out something that you already see? They did the ham loaf one night, and they immediately saw it was burnt. But it got put out. You know, if you see that somebody messed up, and we all do, I couldn't tell you, my husband could probably count on 4,000 hands how many times I burned something he wished he didn't have to eat. But I made something else, you know. If you see, and you're putting stuff in warming ovens, and you see it's burnt, you know, is there a way that we can say, no, look, that's not servable. I know people wanted to come, they came for pineapple stuffing, but they didn't come for this. Can we serve something else? Because I think that is one of the biggest problems. When you come and you're expecting something and it's really not up to par, I think the consistency could certainly be better. And I know that you guys care about it. So I see that as an issue.
Yeah, that burnt product should never be put out. I mean, not going to give you an excuse or anything like that. It just shouldn't go out. And that, again, our team in the back should be monitoring that before it comes out. The chef.
My wife and I have been here for 6 years, and I think I'm seeing something today that I said for a long time, that we have a communications problem. And I said to the CEO the last time he was here, there was a good conversation in this room. A lot of information was flowing as like this morning. And I said to him, as a compliment, I said, I think that was a good meeting. And he indicated the same thing. I said, I have to tell you one thing, however, I am a believer that not all wisdom exists at the top of the corporate pyramid. And I believe that. I think we have a communication problem, and I think the test now is going to be what's going to happen.
Thank you for the comment. And we've been hearing things, and like I said, we've been seeing things through the Happy or Not and all of that. And that's what's kind of led to some of the changes that recently occurred. So our goal is to kind of rebuild the program from the ground up. I agree with some of the comments of the menu being repetitive and old, and we haven't made the changes that we should be making. So that's kind of what led to everything that's been going on here, and we'll be working very hard moving forward. Any input you can give us, we'll take it all. Any suggestions for the menu, like I said, this is your home. We're here for you. Let us know what you want, and we will do our best to get that to you.
Agreed. Agreed. We are just about at the end of this. I think we might have time for one more question. I will support what Tom said, and I will say a thank you to both Tom and Debbie. This is not an easy thing for them to do. They are highly skilled at their jobs. They care deeply about the work that is done here at Frederick Living. Tom is not your basic regional manager person. He has a lot of communities that he oversees, but particularly given his history here at Frederick, he has a deep care and understanding for how things go on here. So I would like to thank both of them for, it's uncomfortable up here, but they've done a good job of listening and being honest. And I would like to thank everyone here we aimed for constructive feedback, and we received that today. It was not a food fight, and I appreciate that greatly. So does anyone have one last question or anything that this is it. This is the last one. It better be good.
I'm getting away from the food issue. I'm curious, are the staff trained with CPR?
The dining staff are not trained with CPR.
Well,
No.
That was not what I expected to end on. I personally have CPR training next week if you want to join me. Okay. That can't be the end. No offense, but is that the end question? That could be the end question if we want. Okay. Genuinely, everyone, thank you for your time. We hope that you feel heard. We hope that you believe that we are taking this to heart and are going to do our best day in, day out to listen to your needs and what you'd like. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to send thank you too. And I'm always walking through the dining room. Always feel free to say anything to me. I'm open. I like to hear the criticism. I take it back. I do not ignore it. And we are looking to improve and make it a memorable experience for you.